Welcome. Welcome. We'll get started here in just a second. We are waiting on Ms. Skelton and Mr. Westcott. Glad everybody's here tonight. Is everybody doing well? Got our students here, our youth council. It's good. So, all right. Well, Ms. Skelton will be here in just a second. No, I do have it. I do have it. I'm sorry. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will call this October 17th, 2024 Finance Meeting to order. At this time, I will yield the floor to Chairman Westcott.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome everyone this evening. We have 3 items on this agenda this evening. Item number 1 is consideration of an ordinance that would provide for the levying of a replacement 1% sales and use tax within the city of Russellville, Arkansas for a period of 7 years and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. It's submitted by the Finance Committee, but I yield the floor to the Mayor for a short explanation for you on item number 1.
All right. Thank you. What we do is we have a 1-cent sales tax that was started, I don't even remember how long ago it was started, Mr. Smith, a long time ago. And it is used for different things in the city of Russellville. The proposed uses in this said election would, when you have a 1 cent, and then 60% of that would go to street, road, and drainage facility purposes, and then the rest of it, the 40%, would be split between 10% for fire department vehicles and equipment and police department vehicles and equipment and other capital asset replacements for any of the things foregoing. And then an extra, or the other, one of the 15% would be for capital improvements or operating costs, or both for the Parks and Recreation Department. And then also 15% would be for what are called economic development purposes and capital improvement purposes, or both. So this is a 1 cent sales tax. It is, like I say, on all goods and services that we purchase inside the city of Russellville. It will be May 13th will be a special election next year, and we will be asking for this sales tax to be in place for 7 years is the way this is proposed. At this point in time, we have a 5-year sunset, and this would ask for a 7-year sunset. Any questions?
Yes, on section 3 of that, if you all have this in front of you, under item B, on the way the collection is broke down, the 60% for streets and drainage, whatnot, 40, those numbers are a little bit different than what is how they're currently dispersed. What are the current numbers?
The current numbers are 70% for the first, number one for street road drainage, and then you have 10% for the fire and police, 10% for parks and recreation, and 10% for capital improvement or economic development.
I know that there's some questions from the committee regarding this, and so I'll open the floor for comments about that or questions. Mr. Keller?
How are these numbers, how did you come up with this percentage breakdown?
We just put them, we seem to spend a lot on recreation and parks, capital and economic development. I am anticipating the potential for the state legislature to change some rules in 2025 that would allow us to incentivize the retail or restaurants, or the ways we did that. Now, here's the deal. You as a council, not we, you as a council are able to change these numbers tonight. If these numbers are not what you would like to see, we're able to change these. The reason I put this on is because we have a timeline that we have to put it before and have to read it and go through the process.
When do we have to pass, when is the absolute last point in which we have to pass an ordinance for this election?
I
Are you saying it's tonight?
you would have to read it
3 times?
3 times, and if we read it the first time tonight, that gives us 1 potential gap month if we have a problem. So essentially, I think if you were to read it in November, then you have 90 days to read it, no gaps, no questions, and then if not, you will not be able to have it on the May 13th election. So the reason I put it here is in case we did have some reason that we could not read it or have a problem.
And if we don't have it on the May 13th election, we would then have to have it next November?
Yes.
Okay.
And if we did, Mr. Smith, if we made any changes like next month, then it would start the clock again, right?
Yes.
It would, I mean, you can still suspend the rules even through a change, and you can pass it even a change, but yes, it would, any type of alteration will make it a first reading. But again, there's no restriction on suspending the rules for a sales tax ordinance.
Thank you.
So, but there are some changes that we can make without having to read it afresh again. Is that correct? There are some minor alterations that can be made that's been expressed before. There's been things that we have, minor changes we've made without having to revert to a first reading.
I think if you change any of the percentages, it's going to cause it to be altered into a new first reading.
Mr. Olson?
One clarification that I didn't hear in your spiel is, because I want the public to know that this is an extension of an existing tax.
Yes, this is an extension. This is not a new sales tax. This is basically extension of a 1-cent sales tax that has been in place. Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Well, for the sake of moving this forward, I recognize, Mayor, in the way that these percentages have been altered a little bit from the 70% streets and drainage down to 60% is because, or I think, so much work, public works-wise, has been able to be accomplished in the last couple of years. Very, very fortunate. We've seen momentum in public works that we've not seen in decades. Very, very pleased, very proud of all the process involved with that. And so I can see the wisdom in reducing that percentage just a little bit and increasing the percentage in the others. I do see some wisdom in that, and I would like to try that based on the collective wisdom involved in bringing this to us at this point. So I move that we forward items number 1 and 2 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
I mean,
Recognizing that the percentages may be adjusted as we go, but at least this is a place to start.
and I know I'm just one person on the committee and on the council, I would feel more comfortable if we know that we have 1 month to table items 1 and 2 and have at least one working session of the city council to come in and talk about this. For those who weren't on the council the last time we passed the 1 cent sales tax, we had multiple working sessions coming up with these percentages, figuring out exactly how we were going to do this, because we knew that we needed to have clarity and vision for, and unity and vision for this. And without us getting together as a group and saying, this is what we're going to do, and this is why, I'm afraid that unity in that vision won't be there. And the 1 cent sales tax is vital to the city and its operations. And I would prefer to see items 1 and 2 tabled until next month and us to have a working session to discuss it. Now, we may come back and say this is the breakdown and that's what it is.
Right.
But to forward, to start the process on an ordinance to ask the citizens of Russellville to pass an extension of the 1 cent sales tax when we as a body have not met other than just this time right now, I think is not the prudent move.
I appreciate that so much. I genuinely do. And the concern expressed, there were 3 terms that were said there about clarity and unity and vision. And I recognize that on this dais here. Over the last couple of years, certainly when this was discussed before, there was a tremendous amount of discussion and collaboration with us and the department heads to come up with these figures and what was necessary and what was needed. We are proposing to decrease the streets, roads, drainage 5%, or 10% rather, and increase 5% for capital improvements for Parks and Rec and for economic development. So the main things that we're wanting to accomplish are still the main goals that were set in place and have been it's been handled very well up till now. I mean, we're on the right track, are we not? Towards the Parks and Recs improvements and the economic developments improvements and the public works improvements. We've made tremendous strides over the last 2 years. We do have opportunities over the next 3 or 4 months for conversation, in-depth conversation about these amounts or any of the things that you would want to spend those on. If we need to table this, we certainly can, but at the end of the day, this is going to have to end up on an agenda, and we're going to have to discuss it and talk about it and address it. So I don't mind going ahead and add it to the agenda for the next finance meeting if that's what you all want to do. But there's a motion and second on the floor to add it to forward it to the full council to begin that process.
I understand the concern because the last time this happened, there was a lot of discussion. Well, maybe the last time all of that discussion happened, we've seen the fruits of that, and there's no major change being had to where, there's not some major thing that we want to specify specifically, we're going to do this because we know that that's caused problems in the past. Like, we're all aware of those things, even though we weren't necessarily here when the decision was made. And so I think that what Mr. Westcott said is true. Like, we have all these department heads and we have the mayor who are here, and they go over and see where the needs are more than, so if we don't need as much in the streets and drainage, because we've done a great job over the last 5 years taking care of those areas and have had money in the bank for those issues, but we do see we need extra in this and there, I don't see why we need to have a working session for 10% of the 1 cent that we are, and it's all still going, like we're just moving the percentages. to where they're more needed. And I'm okay with that, as someone who's newer on the council since we did this the last time.
The people are still protected by forwarding this and beginning the reading process over the next 3 months.
Yeah.
The people are still protected. I know that that's a concern. That's a concern up here, is that we protect the people that we're charged to protect. I think that the people are still protected if we do this. Is there any other discussion on items?
Could I say something, Chairman
Yes.
Westcott?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Keller, I appreciate your concern. Would it be possible if we were to move this forward and have the first reading, then we could have a discussion at agenda prep in November? If there were some concerns at that point in time, they could be addressed, and then you would just have to modify that and bring that back in November as the first reading. But at least if you forward it and have that discussion at agenda prep, you've already got this one reading in case there was an issue. Does that make any sense?
I mean, I get what you're saying on that, and I understand that from a process standpoint. My only concern with that is that not having a session devoted specifically to this, we're just lumping this in with everything else we're going to talk about. And people are going to have things that they need to go to. People have other things that are going on in their life other than this. And I don't want this to be shortchanged in any way, shape, or form and just being part of a larger agenda prep discussion that we're going to have. I think that we owe it to the citizens of Russellville that when we ask them to trust us with not only changing these percentages, but also extending it from 5 years to 7, that we've shown that we've, as a deliberative body, had deliberated on it in a concerted and thoughtful way.
Nice, very, very good, very good. Okay, and I can see the merits in that. Mayor, if it's possible, can we set up a work session between now and the next city council meeting? So that if this is in fact forwarded between now and then, we can still talk about it at a special called meeting, work session for that, can we not?
We have 2 working sessions already scheduled. When are those, Miss? The 23rd and the 29th. So we already have budget working sessions on the 23rd and the 29th.
Could we add that to those discussions?
I don't
Keller?
think Mr. Keller, I don't know if he wants to do that or not. It doesn't seem like he wants to have a dedicated session, I believe. Could we, I mean, that allows us to have, if we wanted, did someone have something on the 28th that they could not attend? Okay.
Could we not have both discussions? We've got budget, but 30 minutes before that, we could have this discussion? If need be? Because 2 nights, now 3 nights, it's gonna be hard to get everybody together. Hard enough for 2 with budget.
Mr. Westcott,
Sir.
really quick, are you suggesting that we simultaneously set aside some time for a working session for this subject, while at the same time going ahead and moving this forward before the full council?
I'm recommending that we forward it to the full council to get it on the agenda, get this process started.
Yeah.
And just like any other finance item, we can discuss it in a work session at any time at our leisure.
Okay.
But the clock is ticking, and this starts the clock. If we want to do it at the 2 meetings that are special called work sessions already, that's fine. If you want to set up a different one or a different evening, that's fine. And you can let us know at your discretion, but either way, the clock's ticking, and I recognize that we need to get this on the agenda.
I don't mind having a work session on this. I just want to go ahead and get this, just for my 2 cents. I'd rather just get this on the agenda.
And everything's changeable, right? We can modify it as we go. Any other discussion on forwarding items number 1 and 2? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed,
No.
motion carries. Item number 3 is consideration of a resolution that would levy millage taxes on all property in the city of Russellville, Arkansas. This says for the year 2024, repeal resolution number 2180. This is a renewal regarding the fire department pension. What is the will of the Finance Committee regarding item number 3?
Make a motion to forward to the full council with the recommendation of approval.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Is this for the current fire department, or is this the millage that funds the old retirement system that we rolled into the lot fee?
That is my
couple of years
understanding.
ago?
This is the millage,
This
the
is
half mill that helps fund the shortfall on the.
The old one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. All those in favor on item number 3 say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion
I
carries.
abstain, just for the record.
1 abstain.
Yes. Do you mind if I share why, or so people?
Oh, my father's a retired fireman with the city,
Right.
and he benefits from
Okay.
that retirement system, so I'm not going to vote on it.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, anything else for the good of the Finance Committee? If not, Mayor, I yield the floor back to you.
All right, we will adjourn this, and then we will come back at 6 p.m. for full council. Did I even hit the gavel on the first?